back again with this time with some teaching videos. I've had a lot of requests for teaching videos, so I'm trying to get these out as soon as possible. I'm sorry for the delay. I've had a little bit of a cold and it's hard to record videos when I'm coughing all the time, so I really hope I don't cough um, today. Okay, so let's get started. What I want to start with today is verb tenses. Now, verb tenses in English can be very difficult because there are so many verb tenses. If we take a look just quickly here, look, see there are 12, really almost 13 verb tenses in English. There's simple present, simple past, simple future, continuous, present continuous, past continuous, future continuous. And with the future simple, there are actually two different ways of doing that. So that's why I say there's kind of like 13 verb tenses. And then there's all the perfect verb tenses as well, okay? So there's present perfect simple, past perfect simple, future perfect simple, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous. Today we're just going to look at the simple and continuous, present, past, and future, these first 6 or 7. And then next time we will take a look at the perfect verb tenses because they can be a lot more difficult. Okay, now as you can see here, I've just did a little example of how to form each of these verb tenses using the verb eat. Okay, when we use present simple verb tense, we just use the base form of the verb eat, or sometimes we need to add an S or ES on the end of it. So eat or eats, right? I eat lunch, he eats lunch. Past, usually past simple, you're adding ed to the end of it, but I used eat here to show you that some verbs do not take ed, okay, like for example, walk and walked, right? Walked, you just add ed to the end to make it past tense. But some verbs are called irregular verbs, so they're a little bit different. We don't add ed on the end. Instead, it's a slightly different verb, or a different word. Sorry, not a different verb, different word. So eat becomes ate. And then for future simple, there are two ways of doing this. One is to add will on the beginning, will eat. Notice we don't use an S on the end, okay? It's never will eats. It's always will eat with no S. Or you can say be going to eat. Excuse me. Now, the be verb, when you're talking present tense, is, am, or are, depending on what the subject is. So he is going to eat. I am going to eat. They are going to eat. Okay? And again, remember, no S on the end of eat. The continuous verbs are always have ing on the end of the verb. Okay? You see here, eating, eating, eating. There's always ing on the end of it. When you have ing, on the end of your verb, you must have some form of the be verb. Okay? So the present continuous, present be verb is, am, or are, as I just said. So it's he is eating, I am eating, they are eating. Okay? Past tense, the past tense of be is was or were. I was eating, they were eating. Okay? And the future tense, I had a discussion with someone about this. The be eating is not future tense. Will be eating is future tense, okay? You have to have will if it's going to be future tense. Will be eating. You cannot just say be eating, okay? You either have to change the be to is, am, or are, was or were, or to say will be. Okay, so those are the 6/7, okay, that we are going to look at today. So let's start with the present simple, and let's look at when we use this verb tense. Okay, So present simple verb tense is used in 3 different ways. The first and most common way is for a habitual action. What that means is something that is a habit, something that I do regularly, I usually do. I do every day or every week or every month or every year. Is something I do usually or regularly. You can also use this if you never do, okay? But it's you always never, okay? You always never do. So if in your sentence you are going to use a word like every day or every week or every month or usually or always or regularly, then that tells you your verb should be present simple. Okay? My example here, I practice my new vocabulary every day. Okay? So just the simple present, no ing, no past tense, no future tense, because it's something I do. I did yesterday, I do today, I'm going to do tomorrow. It's past, present, and future. Okay? It's all of them. So that's when we use the present simple. The second time that we use the present simple is for a general fact. Okay? That is something that is true and cannot be changed. Okay? For example, here, the sun rises in the east. The sun will never ever rise in the south or in the north or in the west. The sun always rises in the east. That is fact. Okay? So I cannot change that. That is going to be used present simple. Okay? Another example, for example, I am a teacher. Okay, that's a fact. Now that could change. I could change careers someday, go back to university and become a doctor or something like that. But the fact is that I am a teacher. So that's a fact. We just say I am, not I will be or I am being or anything like that. Now, the third time that we use present simple is actually to describe the future, okay? But it's only to describe future timetable, okay? That's a future schedule, the time that something is going to happen in the future. So for example here, my class starts at 2 o'clock next Monday, okay? Next Monday is future, but we still use present simple because we're talking about the time that it happens. You're not going to use this with every verb, okay? Most common verbs would be start, finish, end, maybe open or close, right? The store opens at 9 o'clock. Next week, the store closes at 6 o'clock tomorrow, something like that, okay? Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm still recovering from my cold, so please bear with me. Okay, next one here is present continuous. Anytime you see continuous, that means you're going to use ing, okay? You're going to use the be verb plus the verb plus ing. Present tells me that the be verb is either going to be is, am, or are, okay? So the first time that we use this is for an activity that is in progress at the moment. That means it is something happening right now. Okay? It's something happening right now. So my example here is Mary is watching TV right now. Okay? It's happening right at this exact moment as I am speaking. What am I doing? I am recording a video. My son is taking a nap. My husband, I hope, is making lunch. I don't know what he's doing. Okay. But that is what is happening right now. Number 2, this is a general activity that takes place this week, this month, or this year. But it might not be happening right now. Okay? But it is something that has started and it has not finished yet. Okay? But it's not a permanent thing. There is a finished time. It just hasn't finished yet. Okay? My example here is I am studying English in Canada. Okay, let's say, for example, you come to Canada for 6 months to study English. Okay, um, but you decide, one day you go for coffee with your new friend. Okay, you go for coffee with a friend, and your friend asks, what are you doing? What are you doing in Canada? Uh, you can say, I am studying English in Canada. You're not studying English right then. Right then, you are drinking coffee or you are visiting with a new friend. That's not what you're not studying right then at that moment. But you came in January, you will finish in June, and maybe right now it is March. Okay, so you're in the middle. You're doing something. You're not doing it right now, but you're in the middle of doing it, and so you haven't finished yet. And so that's when we use I am doing something. I am studying English in Canada. And then the third time that we use this is also for the future. Okay. Um, this is for future arrangements. This is basically a future plan. This is something you plan to do in the future. Now, um, I'm probably in my third video for verb tenses. I'm going to compare some verb tenses that are very similar. Okay. First, I want to go through each of the verb tenses individually, okay, by themselves. And then I will compare and contrast the ones that are very close and so very confusing sometimes. And you can see, when do I use this one and when do I use that one. This one is often confused with be going to, right? So you can say, my friend is going to come visit next month, right? And you can say that. That's fine, because you also use that one, as we will see in a few minutes. We also use that one for the future plan. Um, so I will compare the difference. I just want to say this one maybe is more certain. Okay, it's more sure that this plan for sure is going to happen for sure. Okay. So I use it for the future. My friend is coming to visit next month. Okay, it's something that's happening in the future, but it's planned, it's arranged, it's going to happen. Okay, so I just use the present continuous for that as well. Okay, so those are the two present tenses we're going to discuss today. Let's move on to the past. Now, past, we are talking about yesterday or last week, last month, last year, okay? Anytime before now. Now, past simple, this again is usually we just add ed. If you look down here, the word study, we just add ed, studied, or travel, we just add ed, traveled. Sometimes the verb is irregular, so you don't add ed, you change the verb slightly. For example, meet becomes met, okay? Meet, met. Or as we said before, eat, ate, okay? This is the simple past. This is what some people call verb to, okay? If you look at sometimes you see a list of verb tenses. You see verb 1, verb 2, verb 3, verb 4. The verb 1 would be eat. Verb 2 would be ate. Verb 3, the past participle, would be eaten. And verb 4, the present participle, is eating, okay? So these ones here, you're using verb to, okay? The ate, met, studied, traveled. The first way that we use this is for an action that began and ended at a specific time in the past. Okay, now these are all important. So it started and finished. It is completed. It is not happening anymore. It is finished. Okay, but it is finished at a specific time. We know when this happened. Okay, so the important thing here is if your sentence has some sort of time phrase or time adverb, like here yesterday, okay? Or if we say last week, if we say last Tuesday, okay? If we say when I was a child, okay? Any time expression, then and that time expression is for the past, then we're going to most likely use the past simple. For example, here, I met my friend for coffee yesterday, okay? This one we will compare later with one of the perfect verb tenses, but I will do that in a different video, okay? There's a lot of stuff to talk about, so I don't want to overwhelm you all in one video. All right, number two. Number two is an action that occurred over a period of time and was completed in the past. So this is something that happened, maybe it was continuous for some time, okay? You could, I am studying piano. If this is something you are doing right now and you haven't finished your piano lessons, then you can say, I am studying piano. But once you finish your piano lessons and you don't take any more lessons anymore and you don't practice anymore, you stop playing piano, okay? Then we use this expression. I studied piano for 5 years. Maybe when I was, when I was a kid, maybe from 10 years old to 15 years old, I studied piano. But I'm not 15 years old anymore. I'm a grown woman, right? So I studied piano for 5 years. Okay. And then the third way that we use this is kind of like, if you see here, a habit in the past. It's an activity that took place regularly in the past. If we quickly go back to the present simple, we see a habitual action, something I do regularly, something I do every day, every week, every month. Then we use present simple. I practice my new vocabulary. But if I don't, I used to do that. I used to do that every day, but I don't anymore. Now I don't do every day. Now it is not a habit of mine. Then I'm going to use the simple past. For example, here, my sister traveled to work on the subway every day when she lived in New York. But she doesn't live in New York anymore. Now she lives in Los Angeles. So she drives her car in Los Angeles. She doesn't take the subway anymore. So this is not something she does every day anymore. She doesn't do it now. But when she lived in New York, yes, every day at that time, every day she traveled to work on the subway. Okay. Okay, let's go to the past continuous. Remember, continuous always uses ing. Past tells us that the be verb is not is, am, or are. It is was or were. Okay? Excuse me. So the first one is an interrupted action. And to be honest, this is the most common use of this. Okay? We don't usually use the second one, but I will teach you anyways. An interrupted action. So the important thing here is your sentence or your conversation needs to have two actions. Okay? If you see my example, I was watching TV when you called. So the one action is watching TV, and the other action is you called. You called on the telephone. Okay? So the watching TV, that is a continuous action. You do that for a length of time, right? Maybe you sit down at 7 o'clock and you watch a program for an hour, right? So from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, you're watching TV. And maybe your friend calls at, 7:15. Well, at 7:15, what were you doing? Now it is not 7:15. Now it is 9 o'clock. Okay, I'm not watching TV anymore. You didn't call anymore, but that whole situation is in the past. But at that time, what were you doing? I was watching TV. Okay, if you notice the second action, the action that interrupted me, That is just simple past. That's just ed. There's no ing on that one. Okay? So I was watching TV when you called. Okay? Now, sometimes you can have ing on the other one if two continuous actions were happening at the same time. Okay? So maybe if I was watching television from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and my husband was um, playing soccer. Okay, maybe he had a soccer game at that time. So he comes home. He's not playing soccer anymore, but he was playing soccer while I was watching TV. Okay, so then both of those would be past tense because both of them were happening between 7 and 8. They were happening at the same time. Okay, now the second way that we use this is a repeated or continuous state in the past. Now, a state is different than an action, okay? There are two different kinds of verbs. There's an action where I'm doing something like watching TV, and there's also an action like a state, like I am a woman, okay? I am a teacher. I have 3 sisters, okay? Those are states. Those are not actions where I'm doing something. It's just something I am, or something I have. So we sometimes use this for a state in the past, but it's not common um, because a lot of the time state verbs cannot be used with ing. Okay, some verbs we do not use in the continuous form, and that you just have to remember for the verb. Okay. For example, love, we don't usually say I am loving you. We just say I love you, right? We don't say I am loving you. We just say I love you. Um, so some verbs we don't use in that case. So this one is not used very often. You could say I was having fun when I was on vacation in Australia. Okay, technically you can say that. But to be honest, personally, myself, I would probably just say I had fun when I was on vacation in Australia. I'd probably just use the past, the simple past. So don't worry much about the second meaning here. Focus mostly on the first one, okay, the interrupted action. Focus on that use. Okay, we're almost done for this video. We need to now talk about the future. Now there's 3 um, future tenses that I want to go through. 2 future simple tenses. The first one is using will, okay? So it will rain tomorrow. I will call you back. I will work on Sunday, okay? Will rain, will call, will work. Use will plus the base form of the verb with no S, okay? No S or no ES. No rains, no calls, no works, okay? There are 3 ways that we use will. We use will, first of all, if we are predicting something that is likely to happen in the future. Predict means you guess something will happen. You don't know for sure, okay, but you think maybe it will happen, okay? So I say, it will rain tomorrow. I don't know for sure if it will rain tomorrow. I'm not God, okay? I don't know for sure that it will rain tomorrow, but I watch the news forecast. I look at the weather forecast, and everyone says that, you know, maybe there's 80% chance that it will rain tomorrow. So I think probably, most likely, chances are it will rain, right? So that's when I use this. It will rain tomorrow. The second one is making a decision at the time of speaking. Okay, now this is important. We need to look at this in comparison to the be going to, which is on the next, I will talk about next. The important thing here is you decide to do, you're going to do something in the future, but when you decide to do it is you're deciding right now while I'm speaking. Okay, for example, I will call you back in 5 minutes. Okay, if, let's say, for example, my mom calls. Okay, my mom calls to talk, but while we're on the phone, we're talking, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, all of that, we're talking. And my baby starts to cry. Okay, maybe he fell down and hurt himself. Okay, so I need to help him. I need to console him and hug him, right? So he stops crying, make sure that he's okay, right? I can't do that and be on the phone with my mom at the same time. So maybe I tell my mom, "Hey, mom, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. I have to talk to, or I have to tend to my son." So in that case, I didn't decide yesterday that I'm going to call my mom back in 5 minutes, right? I didn't decide that yesterday. I'm deciding that right now when I'm talking to my mom on the phone and suddenly my son starts crying. I say, "Oh no, my son is crying. I will call you back in 5 minutes." So I use will in that case, not I'm going to. Okay. And then the third one is expressing a willingness to do something. Now, you might not know what willingness is. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. Willingness, if you are willing to do something, that means you will do it if you have to. Okay. It might mean you want to do it. Okay. For example, maybe we have a birthday cake and there's one piece of birthday cake left. And I already had one piece, but I love sweets and I love birthday cake. And so someone says, "Who wants to have the last piece of birthday cake?" Then I raise my hand and go, I will, for sure. I will. I want to do that, right? And I can use that in this case. I will have the last piece of birthday cake. But we also use this for something that maybe we don't really want to do, okay? But if I have to, I will. Okay. For example, the example I have here is I will work on Sunday if I have to. Okay. Now, I don't know what country you're from or what culture you're from, but I'm from Canada. And in Canada, Sunday is usually a holiday. Usually it's weekend. The weekend in Canada is Saturday and Sunday. And I'm Christian, so I go to church on Sunday. And so usually I don't like to work on Sundays, okay? Because I like to spend time. Like to spend that time with my family, right? I go to church and maybe we have lunch and I spend time with my husband and my son and we do something fun. Maybe we go for a hike or watch a movie or we spend some time from family time together. But if I have to, sometimes, for example, I will be teaching a high school student or a university student, and they need help with an assignment that is due on Monday. And well, I can't wait to do the work. If they need me to edit their their writing, they need me to check their writing, but they have to hand in their writing to the teacher on Monday. I can't wait and do it on Monday. Right? But maybe on Saturday they're not finished yet. Saturday they're still writing. So they send it to me Sunday morning and say, "Please, Tara, please check this writing for me. It is due on Monday." Well, then I kind of have to do it on Sunday. Right? I have to do it on Sunday. But if it's not due until Wednesday, until Tuesday or Wednesday, then I don't have to do it on Sunday, right? Then I can wait and I can do it on Monday, and there's still time for her to hand it in to her teacher on Tuesday or Wednesday. But if I have to work on Sunday, I will. And so that's where we use the I will. Some Christians or will not work on Sunday at all, zero, right? Because they believe that Sunday is a holy day and it is not a time for work, it is time for rest. So they will not work on Sunday. And that is their choice. Okay, that's their choice. And then they would use I will not work because they are not willing to do it. Okay, but we're describing a willingness, or if you're not willing to do something, then you need the negative, of course, right? Okay, so that's using will. Now let's go to future simple with be going to. Okay, I am going to, he is going to, they are going to do something. There's only two ways that we use this. Okay, the first one is expressing a prior plan. Now, prior means before, okay? But plan is for something for the future, okay? So it's something that I'm going to do in the future. I'm going to do tomorrow, or I'm going to do next week, or I'm going to do next month. But I decided to do that yesterday. Okay, I decided yesterday, I decided last week or last month that tomorrow I am going to do this. Okay, my example, I am going to start a new school next month. Okay, next month. Right now it's January, so next month in February, I am going to start a new school. But I already decided that last week. Right? And I registered for the classes and I paid my tuition. Everything is finished. I decided last week, but I'm not going to start until next month. So that's when I'm going to use I'm going to, not I will. Okay? You're not going to say I will start a new school next month. Some people do. Okay? Now, one thing to notice, a lot of spoken English is grammatically incorrect sometimes. Okay? So just because you hear a native speaker saying, I will go to school next month, um, that's a common grammatical mistake that a lot of people do make. So I wouldn't worry too much about it if you say I will instead. Okay? But most natural is to say I'm going to. And if you are going to take any kind of English test, an English proficiency test or anything like that, IELTS, TOEFL, anything like that, you should make sure that you have correct grammar and you should be using I'm going to, not I will. Okay? Now, the second way that we use I'm going to, this is the same, exactly the same. I don't know if I can highlight, yeah. Predicting something that is likely to happen in the future. It is going to rain tomorrow. This is exactly the same as will. Number one, predicting something that is likely to happen in the future. It will rain tomorrow. Those two are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter if you use will or going to in that instance. Okay? All right, last one, and only one way we use this, future continuous. Future continuous is will be, and then the verb with ing. So you see here, will be flying. Okay, this is an action that will be continuing at a particular time in the future. So it's something that will have started, but will not have finished at that specific time in the future. So we need to have a future time in here, and either a future time adverb or phrase or verb or sorry phrase. Okay, not verb. Sorry, phrase. So at this time tomorrow. Okay, this is a time phrase. At this time tomorrow. So right now it is 12:05. It is noon on Monday at my time. Okay. So at 12:05 on Tuesday, right now it is Monday, 12:05 on Monday. So at this time tomorrow, 12:05 on Tuesday, I will be flying to New York. Okay, excuse me. Maybe my flight starts at 11 o'clock, and I don't know how long the flight is it to Vancouver, maybe 6 hours, or from Vancouver to New York, something like that. Maybe I'm not sure. So, if the flight leaves at 11 o'clock, I don't arrive in New York until 6 hours later. So at 12:05 tomorrow, I will be flying to New York. I will be on the plane. Okay, the plane will have taken off, but it will not have landed. I will be in the middle of that flight, so I will be flying to New York. So again, we need either two actions or we need a time expression in there. Okay. Okay, so that's all I want to cover for today. I hope you were able to understand everything. I'll end with this so you can see what ones we have covered. We've covered present simple, we've covered past simple and future simple, and then we've covered the continuous as well. So we've covered present continuous, past continuous, and future continuous. Okay. All right, so I'm going to end there and try to get this video out to you before the end of today. And then next time I will be going over the perfect verb tenses. So all the perfect simple verb tenses: have eaten, had eaten, will have eaten, and perfect continuous: have been eating, had been eating, will have been eating. Okay. If you have any questions about what we have discussed today, please comment in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer your question. Okay? Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.